November 4th is a very important day in history. It was the day that Kanye West conceded and said that he was not going to be president of the United States. And I don't even know why I think they're still trying to figure out who won. I'm not sure. But what's important is that Kanye and Kim are no longer going to be the presidents. So a moment of silence for what could have been. That's enough. Take it, Frank.
Hello, thanks, Pat. Welcome to the POS show, Pat Oates Show. Tonight, we have, as usual, co-host Bobby Tamburo and special guest from Would You Kind Of, and it's Eric Nagel. Eric Nagel. What the fuck was the matter with that? Take it away, Pat.
I like the new name of that show, and Eric, you should call it that.
What should I say?
It's like, well, people aren't really watching. Would you kind of?
Would you kindly?
Oh.
Would you kind of?
That's what I wrote down.
That should be the episode name for your show tonight.
But you have no idea. So we've been trying to do this for, 2 weeks? 2 weeks ago, he said, Frank's like, I'm finally going to get this right. I'm going to study this guy. I'm going to have his intros. So then he told me he was ready. I'm like, by the way, just make sure you say these two shows. That's all you got to say. And I said that to him last week. Sent that all to him. Today, right before you came on, he goes, I got nothing for this guy. You haven't sent me anything. I'm like, last week, it's the same guy. So right here in front of Bobby, I had to say the names of the show. He literally just wrote it down a second before you came on. And Would You Kind Of?
That's all right. I have
That's correct.
I have the one show, Would You Kind Of, and if you want to check out my radio show, It's Eric Idle is also available.
Did you say Idle?
Yeah.
Oh, I was laughing so hard I missed that.
I said Idle? Your name is
No,
Nagel.
he didn't. I said it.
I
you
thought he
said
also said that'd be fantastic.
Frank, you are the Joe DiMaggio of shitty introductions. You have not nailed one yet, my man.
Joe DiMaggio. What is that reference?
Hitting streak.
Oh, because he consistently doesn't hit.
He has not gotten one right yet. Yeah.
Or you could do a Cal Ripken one consecutive.
Right.
Consecutive.
Thank you. That reference probably would have landed.
Yeah, you're the Harlem Globetrotters. The Washington Generals are the announcements, and they just never actually win.
Yeah.
Either way, it's all sports references that Frank is older than. All three of those things.
Got to take care of your elderly, especially going into the winter months. You got to check on them.
That's right. Thank you.
You're right.
Thank you, Eric.
We do have to take care of my first POS story is going to be one personal to me and Frank.
I don't know which is worse.
Go ahead.
Bobby's spotlight shooting into his face or Pat's screen shooting into his glasses, because I can't see either one of you. There you go.
And now we've broken our streak of guests being kind. Would you kind of?
Fun. Yeah, I'm kind of kind.
This week, Frank and I have been doing comedy shows.
Back on.
What'd you say?
Put your.
I don't need him for this anyway.
Look
Eric,
without him. Put him back.
Eric, if you don't mind, this is the part of the show where I read off the first topic and then we go into it. I don't need to read this one because I am saying it from mine. Don't worry, later when I'm reading other things, I will wear glasses. You have not stopped me. Anyway, Frank, would you kind of? About a week ago, the Connecticut governor made a curfew again in Connecticut for live entertainment. Live entertainment cannot start any later than 9:30. Frank and I have been doing a comedy show at Comics of Mohegan Sun for 4 years now that starts at 10 o'clock. The only show that was canceled in the casino is the show Frank and I do twice a month. No other show is canceled. Everything else can go on just fine. It literally is they just canceled me and Frank. Who are the pieces of shit? Connecticut for thinking that Corona is really bad when it's 10 p.m., but it's okay at 9 p.m. The casino, for every other rule that ever is given out by the state and usually says, fuck you, we're sovereign, agrees with this one because they don't give a fuck about you and me. Or Frank, because you're so old and you're not supposed to be traveling, but you keep coming to the casino and you're not supposed to be going out anyway because you could die because you're almost 80. And I think that this is not a real rule. I think the casino is just like, let's not kill that man. Who's the piece of shit in the story? Frank, you start. I know it's you.
The governor. I mean, what kind of rule was that? 9:30. Not only that you can't have a show starting at 9:30, you got to close your bar and your restaurant at 9:30. You can only take outgoing orders. That is the worst rule I've ever seen, and I can't believe Mohegan Sun fell for it. You're right. That's the
But
first
the
time.
slot machines are allowed to be open. You can
Yes,
still go to live things. You just can't keep your business going. And they did say the reasoning is because the later at night people drink, the more they are willing to forget about social distancing because they're drunk, whatever.
Right.
But I know a lot of day drunks. I know people that are drunk at
That's
4 p.m.
right.
all the time. So it doesn't matter. Bobby, piece of shit.
I think it's you and Frank. Just filibuster. Get on stage at 9:15 and start talking until the audience gets there at 10.
There's literally a show going on. There's an 8
Oh.
o'clock show going on with a
Well,
national
Just
headliner.
have somebody continue for you then. Fill in. Just say it's the same show.
They wouldn't allow it.
Oh.
We've tried everything. I've argued enough things with them. There's no us getting on any stage. They will not start a new thing. The first show actually has to end by like 9:15 now. They're actually 2-man shows now and cutting the time down even more. So, no. So thanks for nothing, Bobby. Eric?
Well, I'll still say the governor, but why don't you guys just get rid of your show that, I mean, it's already canceled. Why don't you become the closer show after the headline for the 9:15 so it continues on, because the show technically started at 9:15 and you just go on after the headliner.
They won't allow it because of that. And believe me, I asked, can we just keep the people? And they said because of service turning the table over, and there's no way any headline. Listen, Rich Voss just headlined there. You think Rich is going to let us go on after him? No. Most of these comics' egos are too big to let us go on the stage after them at all. They need the show stopped, the tables turned over, new waitresses coming in. There's no getting around it. You can do shows, and just the curfew overall. And I'm going to be doing for the radio station I work for, they're doing a radio stunt where the morning show guy is going to be in a glass box outside, like he does it every year for 24 hours. You know those dumb things they do. But I have to be on the air from midnight till 5:30 a.m. for the call-ins while they're doing it, all that kind of stuff while I'm there. So I said, without the curfew, we can't do this, right? Because he's outside. It's after the curfew. People go there to donate. And they're like, no, they're allowing this. So a guy can be in a fucking box to raise money for something. But Frank could die any day. Every show is his last show. Why wouldn't they allow this old withered man, as you saw, Eric, can't even remember things he was told 13 seconds earlier? Maybe we should just tell Frank we had the show. I don't know. Maybe that will work.
All right, well, you could do that, or you could say, look, can we just do something? I have to get him back to the home before 11. So you could be like a charitable thing. Like,
yeah, but they know he drives me, so it doesn't.
Just get out a block before you switch seats and you pull out as you were driving in. You got to think a little detail.
Right.
That.
I think Eric has a point. Not so much that, but maybe we tell them because you're old. Early bird special.
Why don't you go on before the 8 o'clock?
Great.
Yeah, like a 4:30 show.
4 o'clock show. A 4 o'clock show would be great.
Like a supper club kind of thing.
You guys didn't try this already?
No. They're not open. Believe me.
Did you just get to one? Did you just get to one? Oh God! You know what? I'm good here. Let me call it a day.
Yeah.
Come on, you got to explore all the options.
You're right, Bobby. Nice sunglasses in your parents' basement. Explore all your options, asshole. It's a real business in the casino. We can't just go, can we show up earlier? Can you send your staff here? Can you open up? They're not going to do it.
Is this the casino that has the Junior's Deli in it?
No, that's the other one. That's
the other one. I was going to say, just show up right in front of there. Old people, Jewish deli. It's a perfect fit. And you just perform right outside the deli, right on the floor, quick floor show, and you're good.
Pre-COVID, we could have done that. Now you're not allowed to stand near a deli.
If you do it on the floor,
deli.
If you do it on the floor, they're eating. So they're seeing you through the glass. You're all distanced. And you've got the barricade. You just do it on the floor.
Believe me, if we were allowed to talk out loud to the people out there's a karaoke stage at this casino where the club itself is inside a club, but they're also attached to a roadhouse, which has a karaoke stage. They won't let us tell jokes there because the people on the floor can actually hear the vulgarity. So we're not even allowed to. You have to be inside this club thing. So we're destroyed. So Frank, I think better, Frank.
Right.
You're old. I know you don't go to an old folks home, but you must know a couple. See if we can get gigs there.
Would you? I don't want to go to an old now with the COVID around. It's going wild.
Frank, when we go to the casino, that's where the Chinese are. It's scarier than the old folks home. COVID's not real.
I think you're fucked, Pat. I don't think there's anything you can do with this.
There's nothing I can do, but the governor's
Let me throw one last Hail Mary. Right? You're allowed to do publicity stunts for charity, right? And you're allowed to gamble after the curfew.
Okay.
So you sell tickets. You put 6 comics up. In between comics, Frank plays Russian roulette. You gamble on when Frank dies. All the proceeds go to a children's hospital.
Well, you're not thinking about one thing, Bobby. What if you're the comic who's like 5th?
And I
would be.
And the
I would
bullet
be.
goes through. The bullet. Do you still perform?
Yes. I'm going to dedicate this performance to Frank.
But you have to remove. Who moves the body?
Well, you leave it there.
Fuck you. I'm not leaving it. You're gonna. No one's gonna pay attention to me. They're gonna stare at your body. Could you shoot yourself in the head, Frank? Could you do that?
No, I don't like that. No, I'm against that.
You don't like that? Is that your conclusion to that? I don't like that.
I don't like that.
It's not that you couldn't kill yourself. You just don't like
What
it.
I would, on the other hand, pulling that and the bullet coming out, I would be closing the show.
No, you
that I
wouldn't.
like.
We just
Why?
admitted
Would
we would
be a
continue
headline.
the show.
Wow. I thought you were joking. You
No.
would really continue the show?
Frank, what if
my
you
dead
shot your-
body right over there?
What if you shot yourself first?
Who's going to? Right.
If you're the first
He
bullet
shot
that kills you.
If
Right.
you take him to the old folks' home and just put him in there, you're already playing Russian roulette because you don't know who has it and who's going to die.
That's right. It's the
But-
same thing.
You know what? That's a great show because you could just keep telling the same one joke and they wouldn't even know.
You bring all the,
That's
bring
right.
all the folks into the common room where you have a little setup with a microphone and a speaker. You put numbers on the back of the old folks, and then you bet. And then whoever drops, then you go, oh, who had 7? Damn it.
Death bingo?
Frank.
I like Death bingo a lot.
That bingo sounds good. I like that.
Bingo.
I like that.
See, we learned here. All right. Philippines police chief killed by rooster while breaking up cockfight. A police chief in the Philippines was killed by a rooster in a freak accident during a raid breakup and illegal cockfight when the fighting bird's blade cut open an artery in his leg, officials said Wednesday. Lieutenant Christian Bullock, chief of the San Jose Police Force, bled to death Monday in Mendong Village after the razor-sharp blade, called a gaff, sliced his femoral artery and was just dead right there. He was trying to confiscate the rooster, but the problem with the rooster's blade may have been laced with poison, the Associated Press said.
And as we know, cockfighting is on the up and up. So the use of poison on the razor blades is strictly against the rules.
I like that you already went there. It's like I like that
Yeah.
they're cheating at cheating. Like,
Yeah.
it's like,
So that's just what we used to call an unlucky lottery on O&A. That's just you were at the wrong place at the wrong time. And you're there to break it up, and somehow the chicken probably freaked out flying, and the blades cut him, and everyone else scattered. So now you have this poor guy dying, bleeding out, and nobody's going to claim ownership of the chicken. Everyone just scatters. That's just it's not a dignified way to go.
But even better, police tried to slow the blood loss by tying a cloth lightly around Bollock's leg, he added, but they may have applied it
His
but they
leg-
might have applied it in the wrong spot.
his leg.
Put it in the bleeding spot. Like there's part of your leg is bleeding. How do you fuck that up? Authorities seized 7 roosters, a pair of gaffs, and 550 pesos, about $10, in cash, said officials. Who is the piece of shit? Is it a guy for dying in a cockfight while trying to break it up? Are the people that are cheating at cockfights, which is hilarious enough. I guess if you're already illegal doing stuff, do that anyway. Is it that this guy died to stop $10 American money being passed around? That's it. Or is it the fact that we don't have cockfighting here, which I think I would definitely have attended at least once, and Bobby looks like he would run one. Bobby, I'll start with you.
Oh, I don't think you're a piece of shit for cheating at cockfighting. I think that's just trying to win, right? So I'm going to say I think the piece of shit in this story is the police officer. You said it was Peru, right?
No.
No, where was it?
I got
Philippines.
Philippines.
The Philippines. I feel like if you're in the Philippines and you're breaking up a cockfighting ring, you're in the wrong. Like, there's so much worse things you could be dealing with in the Philippines. You kind of got what was coming on that one.
Yeah,
I do think the hero of the story is the cock who killed a human. That is the greatest cockfighter of all time. That's the Muhammad Ali of cockfighting.
I'm sure it's happened before.
I don't think cockfighting is the biggest concern in the Philippines. What if you have like ladyboy cockfighting?
That's Thailand.
Close enough.
Know your lady boys.
Well, it's close enough. Just put them all put a bunch of ladyboys into into what was it, a ring, a basement? I don't know what officiates in an official venue for a cockfight, but you have them all there, and they got a slap fight with razor blades on their fingers like that, and I would bet on that. I think
that would be more entertaining.
it
But
would be.
you don't want to get cut by their gaff. I don't know what that really means, but
Lot
3
of-
farmers who had been taking part in the illegal fight were arrested, and 3 others that were being sought after. So they're in hot pursuit of 3 guys who might have been at a cockfight. So we grieve with our provincial police in the loss of a committed and selfless officer whose enforcement of our community quarantine regulations have cost him his life.
I don't get that. Like, I don't get any of the animal fighting at all. I know it goes back long before modern times, for bullfighting and horse racing and all this other shit. But I just never get what the enjoyment is. I mean, the gambling part, yeah, but there's so many other things you could be gambling on. I just don't get the whole have animals fucking kill each other for our amusement.
I don't get anything fighting. Like listen, the only fighting I watch is fake. I like professional wrestling because it's a story. I don't like UFC. I don't like boxing. I never really like people beat. I don't like hunting. I don't like any of that. But there are people out there who just like to see things die. And I don't know what it is, but there are people that are bloodthirsty to go. I couldn't even care enough about a rooster. Or is that's it, right? Roosters. It's the cockfighting is rooster, right?
Right.
2 roosters. Just the simple fact that someone at one point figured out they could fight and then it could be entertaining and then asked people to come and then they watched it for fun and then we got to bet on this. There's no way we could just watch this without being invested. It's insane. We don't do it here because we're smarter than them, but at the same time, the piece of shit to me.
Are we though? Are we
Yeah,
smarter
we
than
play
them?
Pokemon.
In that grouping, we are.
You have football players that were having illegal, dog fights and all of that. So how are we better than that?
Okay, we're better than white people. You're right, Eric. Hey, black people. That was all Michael Vick. That was him. No,
Whoa.
that was Eric doing a racist thing. I was just gonna say whatever, but you said
I said
Michael Vick.
America. I didn't specify.
America. No, I'm not.
No, I blame Japan, man. It's Pokemon. All these kids learn fight
You
these
think
creatures at a
these
young age.
farmers know about Pokemon?
They can't afford it. Their kids are like, hey, I hear about this game at school where these cute little creatures fight each other. They're like, oh, we got 2 chickens. We can't afford a Game Boy, but we got 2 chickens. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah, you have chickens running around in the backyard while kids are whiffing softballs at them, thinking like they're gonna
Yeah.
catch them all.
I remember when I was a kid that when people had Transformers and that was the new thing, and that one kid brought a GoBot and everybody shit on him for having the worst one. Imagine bringing a chicken instead of Pikachu to your fucking school. It's like, look, I got it. He's yellow. It's fine. It's like
Pikachu.
Pikachu. Nice. Would you kind of? Nice.
Yeah, would you kind of indeed?
You've kind of chimed in, Eric, but who is your POS in this?
I gotta say, look, it is as funny as the part of this, not the story, but the part of the story that the blades may have been poisoned. That's the piece of shit thing. It's hilarious, but it's the piece of shit thing. It's like you already have an illegal operation going on for some time. It's a whole network. They gamble and kill innocent animals, but then that's not enough. Like that wasn't enough to like supersede the law and hide and do all this stuff. It's like, well, we got to take it up a notch. Let's just try to figure out how to kill them in the middle of the fight before the fight's even over. I mean, at this point, you're just a step away from somebody with an air rifle just sniping the thing, and then that's going to count too. So as soon as the bell rings, feathers everywhere.
Imagine that's round 2. You have to like dodge bullets while it's going on.
And you have 2 people, on both sides sniping the other roosters. They're both dead as soon as the bell rings. Now you got the people who have to fight to try to get the money off of this thing there. So we've come full circle on this.
I do like that at one point it was just 2 cocks fighting, and then someone's like, they need blades. Like, so they made tiny blades and put it on them, and then someone's like, we need to poison them. So there was a couple steps of evolution right there. Frank, piece of shit.
Yeah, the piece of shit are the cocks that were just hanging around and just watching this go down. They should have stepped in. The cocks should have stepped in and
I
stopped.
don't think they watch. I think they're in the back getting ready. I don't think they watch.
No, I think there were other cocks there, if I'm not mistaken. And I think they should have stepped in there and they should have stopped it. So they're the piece of shit. I mean,
the cops or the cocks? What are you saying?
the cocks.
Co-
COCKS. the
Okay,
cocks.
all right. You are old. I thought maybe you were wrong. The Cox, they're not people. How are they going to stop a fight?
Well, it doesn't matter. They're trained to fight, and when they
not to
see that
not to
going-
care. They're killers.
Think they're not going to come together and think like, hey, we should partner up on this and do some sort of civil war and let's push back on this. Like, somebody saying, Avengers assemble and all these roosters go attacking a bunch of Filipino guys.
And then the cop comes in and snaps his finger and half the cocks disappear. It's like, oh, it's a cock end game. I like it. But no, Frank, the cocks couldn't help out. Maybe
maybe I'm giving Cox too much credit.
you just want to see, you're a child. I know you're 80, but
No,
you wanted to say
absolutely
cock a
not.
bunch. We
I
got
wanna say
it.
Cox. I mean, that's what I'm here to say. Cox.
You did. You said it like 1,000 times.
Cox.
If there was a drinking game, stop saying cock.
What if the other 3 farmers don't know the cop died? They just think they're like getting pursued this heavily because they were cockfighting. They're like, the SWAT team's gonna show up at their house, like all this for $10 and 2 dead roosters.
Or better, what if they weren't even there for the cockfight? When they had like a sex trafficking ring and they're running thinking it's that terrible thing. And then they get caught, they admit to all this fucking awful stuff, kidnapping children. It's like, dude, we're here for cockfights. Like, oh,
What if
my
this
bad.
is bigger than that? What if this is a corporate thing? What, because it's in the Philippines, so Jollibee is a big thing there. So what if they're secretly funding this so that they take all the losers and that's getting served on their menu in their restaurants?
Ooh, I
'Cause
like
they
that.
do
Big-
fried chicken, and they also do spaghetti with hot dogs, which is an interesting combination,
Yes.
but it's delicious.
taken down by big cock. I like it.
They serve the winners to like wealthy business Chinese men. They're like, oh, I only eat the finest fighting chickens.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like it comes in the big silver serving tray like a Thanksgiving turkey. You get the winner, and then all the losers goes to the fast food race.
It has the belt it's won like draped on it,
It's
like
the Mike
wrapping.
Tyson lunch special. It's just like,
Or
it's got a
you
towel over its head. It's like,
you get the menu. It's exactly that. You get a printed menu, and it shows you a list of winners, and it shows you to what degree and where. You only want the purebred stuff, the prime choice cuts. So you're like, oh, I'll take him, and then they go back and with that what is that air pistol that they had in No Country for Old Men. Just
oh yeah,
right
we
to the
just
chickens, and then that's what you get served.
and that's nice because then the losers, kind of like when African kids get like the T-shirt of the loser of the Super Bowl, you give the homeless people the losers.
Yeah.
They can eat that, the beat up meat.
Goes to the fast food restaurant. Yeah.
Just give it outside. It's nice. It's charitable. No, the piece of shit is it's us. Because I would love it if I read the news and the one thing about a cop dying was because of a cockfight. That would be amazing. Well, our country is so crazy that we can't even have cockfights because we have real fights all day. I would love it if the story was that speech that guy gave about we've lost a brother today. We give that every day. I would love that speech to be about a cockfight where we can kind of laugh about it. And I hope that cock's name is George Floyd. I do. I hope they named him that and he died for that reason.
I would love to see, just breaking news out of Portland, Oregon, another riot tonight. A person died from razor blades that apparently had poison on it, and they were fighting in the intersection of a busy street. That's what they're doing now.
Yeah, and then three Antifa people ran away. They're still in hot pursuit, trying to find out what's going on. Yeah, that's what we should do with those people. Have them all cockfight.
Coincidentally, they're also covering up a pedophile ring.
Aren't we all?
I may speak for yourself.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. No, I'm not. You
All
and
right,
Frank laughed a little too hard.
That
Well-
might make you the piece of shit, Pat.
I can be the piece of shit, but you're the one who said only black people have cockfights. Remember that
No, I
earlier?
did not say that. I said we had football players.
Michael Vick.
I didn't know that was a euphemism, but now I
No,
know.
it's Michael Vick. He was the one that did it.
No, I know, but I said football players.
But white football players only rape. They never have cockfights. To be fair.
I knew we were going into specifics, Pat.
Yeah, dude.
I'm a professional journalist, sir. How dare you? That's what I do. Bobby, you have a story to share?
Sure. So here's my question. Am I the piece of shit in
Yes.
this story? My buddy is like a shift manager at work, right? And so I begged him for the past 2 weeks to get me in at 6 today instead of 8 so I could get out at 2 so I could make my show at Tiff's Comedy Club in New Jersey.
Right.
The show is tomorrow. So I gave him hell for 2 weeks for absolutely nothing. So
You're
am I
off
the
tomorrow?
No, I mean I had plenty of time tomorrow. It was just if it was a Friday.
You fought and battled and all this stuff and annoyed him to get time off that you never needed.
Yes. So then I stayed late today, and he was like, "Oh, I didn't actually fix your schedule, so you're probably going to get yelled at for coming in 2 hours early." Who is the piece of shit in the story? Is it me for begging for the wrong day? Is it him for not fixing my schedule, so I'm going to get in trouble for working overtime hours?
Did you honestly think it was that other day?
I honestly did. I thought the show was today. Yeah.
You never
yeah.
went to double check.
No, I did not.
When was the last time you found out that it was tomorrow? When's the first time you found that out? Today?
I found that out Wednesday.
Wednesday. And today's
Yes.
Friday.
Today is Friday, but the schedule was already changed. It's like the deed was already done. He had agreed to do it Tuesday.
The switch was
So-
already made.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your fault. You're totally shit because you didn't double check. And it's not because of what you put your manager and your work through. It was for your own benefit. So you could have just screwed yourself out of this thing because you didn't double check. So it is 100% your fault.
A million times. I mean, it's even more than that because I know you and how much you love comedy and how much you'll drive 8,000 miles to do 4 fucking minutes and everything like that. How did you not know what the day is? You know the day of the next show you have 5 fucking weeks from now, 2 years from now. How did you fuck that up? Is that because you were too drunk on Tuesday, election nights, when you were being a booth boy at Compound and got too hammered and then therefore
Whoa.
did not
Didn't say
know
that.
what to do with your job? I am speculating.
You are.
I saw some
absolutely
video.
speculating. Would it help if I said the comedian I'm working with is Bob Levy?
No.
So the details may have changed multiple times, different dates, different weeks, different locations, shifted a bunch. So there was never any actual
Did
tangible
Bob
problem.
Levy ever tell you one date and then switch it to another date?
Not at this one, but it happened like 4
Then
times.
no, that does not help.
Totally you,
Has
Bobby.
nothing to do with it.
Look,
You
there's a
can't
lot
throw
you could-
Bob Levy under the bus for
there's
that
a
one.
lot exactly. There's a lot you could blame on Bob Levy.
No, whoa, I wasn't
Not
trying to
one-
throw him under the bus, to be clear. I was just saying, things change around.
There's probably
move
3
around.
venereal diseases that Bob Levy started, but you can't blame him for this here.
Yeah.
This thing that right now, that had nothing to do with Bob. But if anything, Bob finally, as you're saying, I've never done a show with Bob in that way, but if you're saying that Bob always changes dates and moves things around, and he finally, after all his time in life, got mature and responsible and kept the date set, and then you fucked it up, fuck you twice. Because
Yeah.
and the first thing you do is Bob's probably throwing you like a fucking 5-minute guest spot. You're not going to get our spot again now that you just tossed him. Bob Levy has like a search thing. He doesn't know how to use the internet, but he always finds out when someone talks shit about him, and he just found out you talk shit about him. No more 5-minute set for you.
And what you just said there, Pat, fuck Bobby 3 times because you should go contact Bob and tell him what he just did. He's like,
Yeah.
do you know what Bobby was just throwing you under the bus for his own shortcomings for this? And look, Bob, I know, we all know, we love Bob, but he's a piece of shit. We get it. We love the guy. But he didn't cause this. This was 100% Bobby's fault.
I have like 5
Yeah,
other
I had-
stories I can introduce
It was a Bob's
where
fault.
Bob
but
Levy
not
was a
the one
piece of
you were
shit.
saying. Yeah,
Not this one.
not this one.
Also, let's not tell Bob Levy that I was talking shit because I wasn't. I was just saying,
Nobody was
things
talking
move around
shit
and things
about
like
Bob.
that.
We love Bob.
I would, but he stopped.
Bob's
talking
the
to me,
man.
so I'm fine. But
Did he really?
yeah, I don't even know why. He's just we were gonna do a show together, and then all of a sudden he stopped talking to me. I don't know. Miserable Men 2.0 is supposed to come out, and now it's just not there. Anyway, Frank, who's the
It's
piece of
simple.
shit?
Bobby.
Right.
What even doubled down on this is that you knew Bob Levy is not that reliable. And you knew that, and you didn't check up on him.
Yeah, I would be asking him if the date was. If I have worked for people that are bad bookers. I'm not saying Bob. I've never worked with Bob. I'm just saying I've worked with bookers who don't know dates. Fuck. Eric knows this would be just being on Compound. I'll message Ari or Eric or whoever. Hey, we still good for when I come out in 3 minutes? Like, yeah, Pat, we're still fucking good. You don't have to keep fucking asking. I do that nonstop to always make sure I have my date, whatever. With you guys in this show, I say to you, we're going to do it on Wednesday at this time. And then the day before, we still good. I don't stop needling. The fact that you didn't keep checking every day to make sure that date. Was there you're not on the flyer though, right? Was there a flyer?
There is a flyer. I don't know if there is a flyer. I don't think I'm on it if there is.
It was
one.
Levy's show. There was like real headliners and stuff.
I have no idea. It's tomorrow.
Who's on the show? Is that the one with that he's been promoting. It's like there's like headliners and stuff, and you're on it, but you're
I
not
don't
on the
think
flyer.
that's the one. I don't
Oh,
think
okay.
that's the. I don't think that's the one with the headliners. I think it's a
Bobby.
smaller show tomorrow.
Yeah, your
Move back a little
sound
bit.
got real hot there.
Loud.
Oh, my
Someone
bad.
got real pissy. Oh, I think it's Bobby's pissy voice. Like, I'm gonna get loud now.
Coming in
Yeah,
hot.
this isn't even a conversation. You just gave us a story so we could yell at you because you
to
need.
do tomorrow, Bobby. You need to go up to Bob Levy tomorrow and go, just so you know, I'm sorry in advance. And he goes, why? You just say, just know that I'm sorry, and then let him find this out Monday when this all comes around.
Or better, you need to go up to Bob and go, where the fuck were you? I was here yesterday. And you might be able to, if you do it well, you could convince Bob Levy that he missed his own show. You could, if you message him at 3:00 and say, Bob, where were you? Everybody was there. We had to do the show without you. Where the fuck were you? Bob is the kind of guy that would start to question himself and go, oh, fuck, did I miss my own show and not show up? Then you could headline.
No, just to be clear, Bob's a great guy.
Didn't
It
say
was
he was
just
a great
never
guy.
set in
I just know
stone.
he's scatterbrained.
I know. No, I know. Just never was set in stone. Didn't.
No,
We're good.
so far,
Love
we've
Bob.
learned that
He's helped me out immensely. He's the man. Just kissing
we've
his ass
learned
now.
that you hate Bob Levy, and we've learned that.
I think we learned you hate Bob Levy.
And we've
Pat.
learned. No, I like Bob. We've learned you hate Bob Levy, and that E-Rock doesn't like black people. And so, what are we going to learn else?
Screw it all.
We're learning a lot on
Not
this
at all.
show.
That is not something you throw around in this day and age, my friend.
I
we've
throw
learned
everything
Anthony
around
is
this day
liable.
and age, my friend. I
I
have nowhere to be.
I said, we look up the football players who were having pit bull fights.
How dare you say I can't throw that around? The Walt Disney of your channel throws it around way more than I do. How dare you? I got
only-
silence on the two of you.
That's only 50% of my world there, Pat.
It's my Twitter is full of David Dukeisms. Anyway, it's like,
I think we've learned one thing tonight, and that is that Pat Oates is good at libel and slander.
oh God, yes, that's all I'm good at. That's why I never get picked up.
In fact,
anywhere.
the second this is posted, I'm already filing something on YouTube for this.
Yep,
Second
taking it down right away.
He's
Click
doing
that
it on his
down.
bike, by the way. He's
Click
he's
the
on his
downvote and
bike.
Yep, exactly.
You'll be pedophiling. Ladies and gentlemen,
Wrong person.
we'll get to him. Ready, Frank? The pedophile. Frank, you have a story?
Yes, I do, Pat. Just to go back a couple of weeks ago when we did the last show, I started talking about in the 70s and 80s, I used to do a lot of pranks on the media. We created fake news before anybody else did. Myself and Alan Abel, who was the leader of the troupe, and he went down as the world's greatest prankster. So we try to take things that are in the news and tell lies about it. It's that simple. This time, Alan had a motive, and that was that he made a small movie calling the Faking of the President. It was about Richard Nixon. And this is 1976. All the President's Men came out. Woodward and Bernstein's book made into a movie about Deep Throat, the informant from Watergate. So what we did, we held a press conference at the Mayor's Suite at the Hilton Hotel. 200 members of the press came. All we did was send out a telegraph that said that Deep Throat from Watergate is telling his story. 1:00, be there. And everybody showed up. The world showed up. And so we had 200 members of the press. What we did is we had an actor play Deep Throat. He was a telephone installer at the White House. That was the premise of it. You got to remember this. We did not have Deep Throat. This was all bullshit. This is all fake news. So we set it up. We're there at 10:00 for a 1:00 press conference. At 11:00, the phone rings, and one of my assistants gives me the phone and says, Scott Meredith, the agent, the literary agent, is on the phone. Scott Meredith handled all the presidents for their book deals. So he's calling me up. So I pick up the phone. I said, Frank Santo. And he says, I want to come and I want to sign up Deep Throat before the press conference. I said, you can't. You got to wait until after the press conference. He says, I'm going to be over there in 15 minutes and you fucking get him out. I'm having him sign the contract. Okay, he shows up and he tells me who he is. I recognized him. He was very famous. And he reaches into his pocket and he takes out $10,000.
Nice.
And he puts it down on the table. He says, that's for you for fucking getting me Deep Throat. Get him out here and have him sign it. And I just looked at the money. It's $10,000. It's
Right.
44 years ago. It's a lot of money. So I said, no, I can't do it, Mr. Meredith. We could do it afterwards. I said, you could join the press conference and we'll talk afterwards. And he begrudgingly took the money and he stormed out and he waited for the press conference to stop. So I said, well, we could use him. We'll just introduce him as part of the entourage that's there. So the deal was that Deep Throat was coming out, his wife with him. He's crying. She's crying. And during the press conference, as he's telling his story as the telephone installer, he faints. And we rush him into the suite, into the bedroom. We got a planted doctor downstairs, a real doctor. He
Nice.
comes up, he looks at him, he comes out, and he says he had the seizure, but he'll be okay tomorrow. So come back tomorrow to finish the press conference. That was the deal. Okay, there was so many people in the room when Deep Throat came out, there was no room for him to faint. So he's trying to, he's
no
getting
room
all
to faint?
sweaty and he's
He wasn't
coughing.
standing on a platform or a stage. He was just.
No. This is just the room. This is it was a big suite, and this is the big living room. And there was a conference table, a telephone there. There was a couple of chairs, and he's standing up, and he's all of a sudden he gets delirious and he starts falling, and he falls on my shoulder, and he slithers down, and everybody goes crazy. I start yelling, get a doctor, get a doctor. The doctor comes running in. We bring him inside for 15 minutes. We open the door slightly so they could take pictures of him with a cold compress on his head lying down like this on the, and so the doctor comes out and says exactly what we told him to say. He can't talk now, but he's positive he'll be able to come back tomorrow and talk to the press. And so it took another 2 hours to get everybody out of there. They wouldn't leave. In fact, a reporter from the Washington Post says to me, he says, what if I get Bob Woodward on the phone? Would you speak to him? I said, definitely. So we all know who Bob Woodward is. So he calls him up on the house phone. He gets Bob, tells him what's going on, gives me the phone. And Bob Woodward says, you motherfucker, you think you're going to make money off this fucking deal? Fuck you. And he hangs up. Now I say, okay, Bob, here's the deal. You made this money on the book, the movie. My poor guy, he's a telephone installer. He got nothing. He's living in a trailer park now. It's his time to come out and make some money. Do you understand that? You better admit what exactly happened. And I hang up the phone. Everybody goes, okay. So we finally get everybody out. Okay, so we're happy. We accomplished what we did. They're coming back tomorrow. Alan was going to be there with a trailer for his movie and hopefully get some publicity. And we get a distribution deal for it. An hour after everybody leaves, another knock on the door. They greet. It's the police department. 2 detectives come up to me. You Frank Santo? I go, yeah. All right, here's the deal. You got 2 hours to call up the New York Post and have them get the complete story on Deep Throat. If not, you're fucking dead. I said, what? What are you saying? He said, you heard me. I'm not going to repeat myself. 2 hours, call up the Post, give them the story, otherwise you're dead. Okay, I walked out. I said, well, I'm not going to do anything. I called up Alan. Alan came in. We discussed it, decided that it was best that I left. So I left. And I came back the next day with Alan. We did it. We got some publicity. But the deal was that first night, we got publicity all over. All the news stations carried it. If you look behind me, Deep Throat just called Bill. That's a picture of myself and Deep Throat. And we were, that was on the first page of the Washington Post. I mean, we made national headlines with it. We accomplished what we wanted to do. So now, who's the piece of shit? Is it me playing Frank Santo? Is it Scott Meredith, the agent? Is it the actor playing Deep Throat, who, by the way, was a nervous wreck because the night before he was in a commercial for Xerox playing the head monk, and he thought somebody would recognize him? Was it the Washington Post reporter? Was it Bob Woodward? Was it the 2 detectives? Was it the New York Post? Or was it Alan Abel for creating this? Who's the piece of shit?
Who's still awake? Holy shit! Dude, that was so fucking long! Like, what the fuck? It was a good story, but you said it's got to be a quick thing. That we just did the whole
How can I
podcast.
make that quick? How can
Holy
I make
shit.
that?
It's called editing, you fuck.
I did edit it.
Bobby, you go first while he's calmed down. Who's the piece of shit, Bobby?
And
And by the way, Bobby, I saw you stopped listening halfway through. You were rolling a joint. I think you clipped your toenails. I understand.
we all agree, like going into this, Frank's the piece of shit for telling that story.
Yes.
Like I don't have to say that, right?
No, that's all in there.
Okay.
Besides him.
Then I think honestly, Frank, the guy who's the piece of shit in the story is the Washington Post and the New York Post, who didn't do their due diligence. Like anybody who did any kind of background check, any fact checker would be able to see through your story. I know you did a good job, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying like before you go and post a national story like that, you would think they would do a little more due diligence.
Well, what they did do, the only thing that they do, I had business card, Frank Santo, agent, with a Beverly Hills address and telephone number. That was an address and a telephone number of somebody we knew, and when that number rang, they would say Frank Santo's office, and two members of the press did call up to verify that was me.
Okay.
But you got to remember, there was no internet, there was no way to check anything out. That's why we were able to do.
I think you're the piece of shit in the story. I think it was funny and I think it was brilliant. That's why I was curious.
Okay.
Eric.
Yeah, I agree with Bobby. It's the newspapers that should have investigated a little bit more. But also, I want to mention, I've heard of that Alan Abel guy before,
Right.
and I think it was he messed up Phil Donahue's broadcast when he
Yes,
first
yes.
moved to New
Yeah,
York City,
Yeah.
and everybody was passing out live on
Yeah.
television. Like the
Frank
whole
was there for that one
we
too. Right?
planted.
Yeah.
We planted some people in the audience, and then when Donahue went into the audience to interview people would start getting up and go, "What?" Hey,
people used to be out of Chicago, and it was I don't know if it was live in Chicago but syndicated everywhere else. But when it moved to New York, it was live on, I guess, the owned and operated
right.
network. So it was live from New York for most markets. And yeah, his first show in New York City, people in the audience just started passing out and they
Right.
were freaking out. They didn't know what to do. They were cutting to commercials and
Yeah.
they were trying to vamp the whole time because they were trying to blame it on the studio being overheated.
Right.
But I think they were in Rockefeller Center or something like that. All those studios are like 50 degrees or colder. So that wasn't the case. But I remember, I don't remember what it was. I watched something about hoaxes and like radio hoax. It was paired up with like Orson Welles's
War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds and all these other famous things. But I remember the Phil Donahue thing. It's hard to find that clip anymore. It used to be online. I haven't found it in a long
Part of it is on Alan's documentary, right, Frank?
Yeah, it's on the documentary. Right?
Yeah, they made a documentary that
Abel
Frank was part
versus
of.
Cain. Yeah, Abel versus Cain. It won Slamdance best documentary of 1983, I think. No, I'm sorry, 2003, something
Yeah,
like
those
that.
are close. You fucking old
Yeah.
fuck. So one of the two things. Frank, you're the piece of
What?
shit. That was so
Why?
long. That was so. I know the story. I love you. I love Alan. I love all that stuff. Some of this things you do is the reason why we're friends. And I got bored by a story I love. That was so fucking long.
How long was it?
I was actually hoping that Pat only had the 20-minute free version of Zoom. I was looking at the clock. I'm like, now.
No, because of Frank, I've got to pay so I can have 100 people on and 5 million hours and all that. No, Frank, it's an awesome story. I mean, I'm spoiled by it because I know of all the things you've done and all the ways you've tricked people, and I love that. Last week you shared that other one as well, and the fact that I miss a time. Not that I really knew it then, but it makes me like want to have a time where you could just trick people and have fun. And what I love about what you guys did was it's not like now where you would reveal it later to get like, oh, look at us, we're popularity. People died not knowing you did all
Right.
this shit to them. Like,
Right.
which is, you've tricked people and just let it go. And I always thought that was amazing. That being said, we're going to work on two things next week. Your intros to the show and fucking your time limit. We're going to start a timer now, and you're going to get cut off and music will play because that was crazy. All three of us almost went to sleep.
Yeah, you should put a 1 minute countdown timer.
You could have. What you gotta do is right. See how when I read the story, I read a beginning part, I let people chime in, and then you continue feeding the baby birds so we can have a conversation. Because it was just you doing the speech.
Well, it was so much. It was so elaborate, and I left out
You
so
can't
much.
say it's elaborate when you say it, you asshole. That you cocky fuck. You can't say you were elaborate. We could say
I
it was
wasn't elaborate. I mean, the story is so elaborate.
It was
Not me.
mundane. Mundane.
I think it was pretty dope. It was just long.
You cut your toes. I watched
Did
you
I?
play with your feet or something at one point. You
Oh,
had your
shit.
head, at one point you had your head down. I saw Eric look at his clock because then I put a television around my face. And
I was
started
watching that,
staring.
and he was zooming in and out.
and you didn't even notice, Bobby, because you were too busy weed napping while you're wearing your sunglasses.
I saw you put the old-fashioned TV up and zoom your face in. I was just trying to feign paying attention to Frank's story.
I was trying to help the other people that are going to watch this. Like, what the fuck is Colonel Sanders talking about? And I had to help them out.
Now
So,
you
yeah.
understand. Now you understand why I don't do this as comedy.
What is comedy?
What?
That
These
story?
stories.
Frank, if
They
you're on
do
stage and people are in the audience and you're telling a story, they'll listen. But we're on a show where there's a conversation. There's 3 other people. The other people in a comedy show aren't supposed to talk. That's when you could do that shit. We're supposed to talk. It's not the Frank hour.
This is now elder abuse, Pat. You made your point.
Yeah. If you get to be racist and Bobby gets to hate Bob Levy, I get to beat old people.
You just spent 5 minutes telling me that I was.
Yeah, but I'm
Wrong.
entertaining. I'm elaborate.
I love Bob Levy.
I love Bob Levy too, and I love black people, and I don't love Frank right now. Speaking of black people, Chicago sisters stabbed a store owner 27 times after being asked to put on mask. 2 Chicago women have been arrested after one woman held a man down while the other stabbed him dozens of times. According to police, 21-year-old Jessica Hill and 18-year-old sister Jayla Hill entered a neighborhood shoe store Sunday night where a store security guard greeted them and asked them to put on face masks and use hand sanitizer placed at the front of the store. The sister refused and became involved in a verbal argument with the 32-year-old man, officials said. According to the Chicago Sun-Times, one of the sisters picked up a trash can and smashed it on the 6'5", 270-pound security guard's face. The woman then began punching him. After the altercation became physical, Jessica Hill used a knife that was in her back pocket to stab the man, while Jayla Hill grabbed her hair and held him in place, police spokesman Carly James said. Jessica Hill stabbed the man at least 27 times in the back, chest, arms, and while the guard and assistant store manager asked them to stop, they wouldn't. After the guard became free, the sisters kicked him in the head and body, prosecutors said. A surveillance camera in the store captured the entire incident. It's the complete randomness of this. It's terrifying. They ordered the sisters be held without bail on attempted murder. Yeah, I said attempted murder. He didn't die from all of that. He's alive.
He's a,
Who are the pieces of shit? Obviously, the sisters for getting that angry about putting a mask on. This isn't like even the beginning of April. This is now. Okay, I'm not even saying you should have ever been that way, but it's known. If you don't know you're going to be asked to do a thing, that's insane. Is it the security guard then for going that crazy? I work in a retail store. Bobby does that stuff too. If somebody walks in without a mask, I might go, hey, did you forget your mask? If they say, fuck you, I don't own the place. I get out of the way and I let them shop. Let someone else take care of that. Is it the sisters for not being able to kill a guy after stabbing him 20? How bad are you at stabbing? That's 27 times.
So
You
they're-
garbage canned them. You did it all. Who's being
They're,
shared?
they're pieces of shit twice because they didn't get the job. No, they did this and then couldn't get the job done.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
They did
Okay.
so much. They did every old school wrestling move. They did garbage can. They did punches to the side. Then they broke out a knife. They had a knife with them.
Here's what happened. They didn't know they were fighting the Undertaker. So after all that was coming on, all of a sudden he just sat right back up, and then they kick him in the head, thinking that's going to knock him out. You remember when Bad News Brown used to do the ghetto blaster right to the back of Bret Hart's head?
Yeah.
Sit there, boom, he goes down again, and all of a sudden, hand comes up right on a rack, pulls him right up again. You can't get him down. So obviously it's them because you sent a couple jobbers in to take out the headliner.
Now, to say, I know they gave me the height and weight of the security guard. They didn't give us the height and weight, but there's a picture, and they look kind of like, if another wrestling reference. Remember 3 Minute Warning? They were. It was two. They're two big girls that look.
Rosie and
Rosie and Jamal.
Jamal,
And
yeah.
and they are, for those who don't know wrestling, there's some big, these aren't small asses, okay? So they,
Samoan dudes.
so I get, if you're going to say one of the pieces of shit should have been the store owner, who, why didn't he jump in? I don't think I would jump in when two giant women were mounting a guy and stabbing him. I'd like to pretend like I'm a hero. I know I'm not a hero.
Most managers and store owners won't. They'll say something or they'll get loud, but when that's as far as they go. I mean, you see plenty of videos of people causing fights in like truck stop or convenient marts or so, or even Walmart, things like that. A Best Buy, where they go and they have these huge fights, and then they just want security to come take it until the police come. So the management and the owners will say something, they'll yell, but they usually never get hands on, because why should they?
Yeah.
But so many people, look, I get the whole nobody wants to wear the fucking mask thing, but at this point, it's really not that big an inconvenience. And I'm not saying we need to settle for it. I'm just saying, if you're going into the store, throw it on, get what you're doing, go out, and you just whip it right off the second you walk out the door.
You know what's more inconvenient than wearing a mask? Doing time for attempted murder. like if that's your other choice, I'm gonna stab someone, put the mask on. Nope, I'm gonna stab this person, then go to jail for. Try not wearing your mask in jail. You're gonna have to wear a mask and a lot of other things, big
And
girls.
everybody, or not everybody, but most people in prison, because they're not going to what they call the country club prisons. They're in there for a lot harder stuff. And when these women walk into a woman's prison and they have to say, "What are you in for?" Well, we beat the shit out of somebody because he wouldn't. He told us we had to wear a mask. They're going to be progs for a lot of people. I don't know if women can be progs. Maybe just bitches for a lot of people.
I think this day and age, you're allowed to identify as a prog, even if you're a bitch.
Good. You should fill that out on your application for anything. Men, women, or other, and you just put prog.
Prog. That's it. Bobby, piece of shit.
The piece of shit's the hourly guy in the store. Maybe you don't feel this way, Pat, in retail, because you're like the guy who just got to Vietnam, but I've been here for a while, and I can tell you for a fact, I fantasize every day about a customer pulling some shit like this, so I could just get out 4 years worth of being treated like shit and anger. I got one good pop in me, and if it was a big woman like that, she stabbed the guy 27 times and didn't kill him.
You're gonna punch a
going out a
woman?
hero. I'm not gonna punch her, but Terry Tate office linebacker, baby. I'm coming across the middle and I'm taking off some heads.
If it was a guy, I'm telling you right now, I would try, and it didn't have a knife. It was just a guy pummeling a guy. I definitely would try to break up the altercation. There's a weapon involved. I'm sorry. I will make noises. I'll throw something. I'll yell, break it up. I'm not doing that. You're right. I'm not used to the Charlies being around. I'm not in there yet. I don't want the line of fire. I'm out of there. I'm not. And two big women, they're going to turn and stab me now. I'll hold his feet. I'll tell him where to stab. Like, you ever play Operation, bitch? Know where to aim.
The only math you have to know is, can you and the security guard outbeat those two women? Because you would assume you could get there before they stabbed him 27 times.
Oh.
If you intervene at stab 2, he's not that hurt.
Well, what do you think? They're going up and going, No, it's bah, 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 bah. And that's what they're doing. That's why they missed. They weren't precise in their moves. It was rapid fire stabs.
You know what else we need to find out too? If there's not just video of this, but if there's other video in the rest of the store, because this is the opportune time for anybody in the store going, I ain't paying for this shit. You're shoving it in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you're running out because with all the confusion, there's a knife, stuff's being thrown, a guy's getting kicked in the head. You walked out with some merchandise, like, I don't know what happened. And they're like, all right, stay outside. Because everyone's going to want everybody outside of the store because it's now a crime scene and these women are violent. And you're just I don't know what kind of store it was, but you're walking off with a few $100s worth of merchandise.
It was a shoe store.
Okay, then yeah, throw a couple of, unless it's like a Payless or something, but if it's something good, throw some of the good stuff in there and just kind of walk out. And like, I don't know what happened. I got kicked in the head and they just told us to stand outside.
And I'm not saying it was in a bad neighborhood, but there's a security guard at a shoe store. So
Okay,
it's
it's like a Payless or
yes.
or a Ross's.
Lady Foot Locker.
Yeah.
These
Tom McCann.
No, these big ass ladies. And by the way, that kind of rapid fire stabbing, these two girls were good at double dutch working the rope. At one point, that was their early job. Frank, who's a piece of shit?
I'm going to say the women for a different reason. They went there to shop, if I'm not mistaken, correct? And they were stopped.
Apparently.
Okay, and they were stopped at the door. They went through that, all those motions, all those stabbings, and they weren't going to shop. They knew with the first plunge of the knife into the guy, they knew they were going to be denied shopping. So what the fuck did they do it for? They're the piece of shit.
Frank, they're crazy bitches who were mad.
Well,
It wasn't because of the shopping. They were just people. Young people don't like being told what to do. Have you watched the news?
What are you
They don't
telling
like
me?
being told what to do. You know what I mean, Frank? They don't like that. This had nothing to do with shopping at all. This had two people who were trying to prove a point, but then the point went too fucking far.
Right.
They got scared. They stabbed, but don't stab. The fact that they didn't kill him
Yeah.
it's weirdly a godsend. Like, yeah, they're gonna get attempted
I
murder.
thought you were gonna say is weirdly disappointing.
No, for that guy.
Pat has a
Is-
bloodlust that it's like no other.
No, it's like the cockfight story. I don't like that style at all. I wouldn't be able to help. I'd be like, ew. Like, but
Pat would
I
be the guy screaming with his hands up like that, like
oh,
a girl.
I would have fainted. I would have fainted like the guy who couldn't in Frank's story, like the long ass, stupid ass story where nobody could faint. But I don't know what to do. I'm telling you, the second I saw one stab, I would run. I could never watch a human being be stabbed. I couldn't do that. No
If
way.
they were doing it so many times, do you think maybe you're hearing the noise like when you're in like Call of Duty or something when you're out of ammo and you switch to the knife and it's just like that and just hearing the guy getting cut and he's still standing up.
And they must have been deep stabbed. To go 27 times, you think you'd get stuck in some stuff, right? I don't really know the human body, but you think you'd get stuck in some stuff.
Maybe he fell into like one of those shoe racks or something. You know, the little things that are on an angle.
No, they said they had him. They were holding him down on the ground, like pinning him down.
Oh.
How did they
Yes.
miss his artery 27 times?
He's
That's what I find-
6'5", 240
I
pounds.
don't think they passed anatomy, education in school, Frank. I think they're
Anatomy was her sister's name.
I think what Frank's pointing out though is that a chicken fighting cock was able to do what two women weren't with 27
right.
free attempts.
Thank you, Bobby. Yes.
You know what? That makes me feel good about America. There was no poison on that knife whatsoever. You know,
What are
that
these
girl
bitches,
just
amateurs?
stabbed her like a goddamn American. She didn't have to cheat to win. She just stabbed and took her losses.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hill Sisters. Eric, thank you so much for doing the show. We're not going to go any farther than that. Where can people hear you? I know Frank tried to tell us, but we don't know.
Yeah, you can check out my show, Would You Kindly, on compoundmedia.com. We also have some of the older episodes going back up on YouTube. You can look for them there. And I have a radio show on iHeartRadio called It's Eric Nagel. You can find it on the iHeartRadio app, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts.
Bobby?
Check out the Eastside Dave Show every Tuesday at 7:30 on Compound Media, and follow me at Bobby_Tamburo.
I like how Dave treats his people like how Ron Fez treated him, because if Dave went on our show, O&A or another thing, it didn't say Ron and Fez noon to 3, he got fucking chastised that afternoon. So he's doing the same thing to Bobby and everybody else. If you go on anywhere else, you better promote the Eastside Dave Show. It's that
Well,
it's that learned response that you have from your family.
and as much as he loves being on the show, this is the first time that he said it first right away, and I didn't have to go, how about Eastside Dave Show? So anyway. No, because Bobby wasn't sure about what to promote. He definitely is very proud. He just wasn't sure what to promote. I said, no, promote that show. It's the craziest show on your guys' network.
Hey, look at the shirt right there in the background. That's just so like, see, Dave, I had the shirt up. I may have forgot the plug, but it's right there.
There it is. Frank, do you have anything left in life
I
now
got
that
nothing.
took your
That
show away?
goddamn governor of Connecticut took away my livelihood.
That's it.
And
So
now
we
I
gotta
gotta
find new.
wait.
We gotta find new places to do shows.
We got to find new venues.
Well, it may not be New York and New Jersey, the way that they keep teasing that these they might be putting out new regulations for both of these states too.
Yeah,
So-
and Rhode Island, which is right in the line where the casino is, they're going back down to phase 1. It's going to be getting crazy. I don't have a date yet, but as of right now, I'll be recording a new hour again at the Stress Factory. We're just working on the date soon, but going to do that. I'm going to do part of it outside, part of it inside, because I wanted to have that feel of what the time is right now. So you're going to what people are doing with shows and record 2 hours and kind of mesh them together and do that. Subscribe to my YouTube channels. I got 2 of them. I got the Pat Oates channel where you'll find this show and our Podophile show, a different show on that one as well. Eric, thank you so much for being on. Bobby, thank you for wearing sunglasses throughout the entire thing. Frank, thanks for that nap that we all took during the show. I really do appreciate it.
Anytime.
And everybody, don't be a POS.